Welcome back to Hoochos. So this video is going to be a quick update on all of the 3D printing designs, and I'm going to show you some pre-release designs that are available on my pre-release Patreon tier. The reason I'm making them available for pre-release is I haven't done a video on them yet, and I'm juggling quite a few videos at the one time, and I won't get around to them for a while. I don't see any point in holding them back. I'm also going to show you some of the things I'm working on at the moment, and I'll start with those. So this is a Beto bucket that I'm working on at the moment. As you can see in this print prototype, the sides have actually warped. What I'm doing with that at the moment is, as you can see here, I've actually changed the sides of the Beto bucket to look more like the Hooch bucket. And this actually just gives more strength to the sides of the print and stops large flat areas where the PETG tends to warp. So if we have a look at the internals of the Beto bucket, we'll do a section analysis and we'll pull it straight through the middle. Now, as you can see, the internals act as a bell siphon. And once I have a part that plugs in the front here and goes down into what would be the return pipe that the bucket would sit over the top of, it will create this full siphon and drain the bottom of the Beto bucket completely. So as the Beto bucket fills up, the siphon would initiate when it gets to the top of this pipe section, and then the entire bottom part of the bucket will drain into the return pipe and then back to the res, which is how all Dutch buckets should work, even though I designed my Dutch bucket system a little bit differently. So I'll have a video on this design coming up very soon once I've perfected the design and got it printing properly. Now, the next design that I want to show you, and this one's going to be available for pre-release, this is the Hooch Bucket 2.0. Now this one prints perfectly. So this is the Hooch Bucket 2.0. The print file itself is actually designed for a 100mm pipe. This was printed at 90%, so it fits over the top of a 90mm pipe. Now, I haven't made any videos on this one yet, purely because, now I'm gonna be realistic with you, this takes a ton of filament, and this is just the 90mm bucket. The 100mm bucket would also take a ton of filament, 10% more in fact. So to be realistic, it's probably not gonna be cost effective to print this. And it also has, due to the design being printable in one solid piece with no bridges, it also has a very small amount of media grow space. So I'm not sure whether this would actually be entirely practical to print at these large sizes, but I wanted to pre-release it just so that if there was anyone out there that wanted to play around with it, they could. So I'll just give you a cross-sectional analysis of this one as well. So as you can see, that's the entirety of the planting media area. I could have done like an entire curve here, but what happens then is you tend to get really loose filament down the bottom, and when the plants are putting down roots, they will get completely into that loose filament. So as you can see here, it's quite neat. I've had to sacrifice grow space to make it that neat. In fact, the entire print prints really well. So the logical next step with something like this is to miniaturize it and then print lots of miniature buckets. And when you have lots of miniature buckets, you then create an entire miniature hydroponic system. That's another reason I put it up for pre-release. If you want to play around with these buckets and make a miniature hydroponic system, that is an entirely feasible use of these prints. And I'll be designing end caps and something to hold a bottle upside down to refill the pipe from below so that you can grow your own miniature vegetables. This system will also be compatible with the round pipe hooch adapters, as you can just stick these to the bottom of an existing grower's pot or whatever container you have and add them into this miniature grow system. There is also one rather interesting device that I'm working on at the moment that I don't want to show you just because I want it to be a complete surprise. It's something that I'm really proud of, and I'm currently working the system through in my head. I've printed a ton of them, so it's fully designed and ready to go. I've just got to make the system, and I'm really excited to bring it to you. Thanks for watching this episode of Hoochos. I hope you're as excited as me for the future of all things hydroponic, and I'll see you next time on Hoochos.